Yeah, PS2 is like PS3, but way harder. All right, we should be good to go in just a moment. We'll get a countdown underway for Edboy versus SilentMartyr. Metal Gear Solid 3 on the PlayStation 2 on European Extreme. Now, the first difference you will notice is Ed is playing on New Game Plus, and Silent Martyr is playing on New Game. Um, Silent Martyr has always favored like playing on New Game just because he always opts to go for the most difficult version of whatever run he's doing. Generally, in MGS3
第二次
races,
世界大
we've
戦
always
終結後、
allowed
世界は
players
東西
to
に二分さ
play
れ
on
た。
New Game or New Game Plus if they wish. New
冷
Game
戦
Plus
と
is
呼
the
ばれる
most
時代の
optimal,
幕開けで
but
あ
we
る。
still do see people favoring New Game. Um, the last time we saw that was in the Metal Gear Solid 3 tournament I played on all New Game. Um, but yeah, optimally, it's New Game Plus, right? If you're going for the win, you should play on New Game Plus. For this race, I think it's more of a, they're racing together for fun. They're having a laugh. Marta's going to stick to what he enjoys most. And there are differentials on the loading times of different PlayStation 2s as well. Um, when you're racing the PS2 version of the game, you just kind of have to take that into account. I don't think anyone's on backwards compatible, right? They're both using actual PS2 hardware.
Yeah, that's right. But that being said, I know that Martyr is on a fat PS2 and Ed is on, I believe, a 70K. So he's definitely going to have a loading advantage here. Thankfully, the loading advantage on PS2, even from worst to best hardware, is not as severe as it is on PS3 and the HD collection, but it is still something to consider.
Yeah, absolutely. When we watch these races, we can generally tell if it came down to something like that or if it just came down to how they both played on the day. But we
For
won't we
sure.
won't know until we'll have to go forward a bit before we know. I will say as well, in recent times, Marta has been playing other games, right? Whereas Ed has just kind of switched his focus to MGS3.
Ed has been playing quite a lot of MGS3 lately, although he has been on the HD collection mostly. He's been doing a few MGS3 runs on PS2 though lately. He did a VE run. I think he even did an easy run. He's been working his way up on this platform. He has been playing European Extreme on PS2 for quite a while though. Definitely has more experience on PS2 than I do, I think. Um, so I'm very interested to see how he handles some of these situations. Key changes with the with some of the things in PS2 version are the pain, for example, because of a frame rate thing in MGS3 HD collection edition. My bad. Is that when they changed it to 60 FPS, his bullet bees no longer become a real threat. But on PS2, because of the frame rate, they absolutely are. So you actually have to deal with them. So that's a real challenge for a lot of runners. Probably one of the hardest parts of the entire run. Very eager
Yeah,
to see how
like
both runners handle it.
like no matter what in PS2, you're going to have a much longer phase two, and at all times you're at higher risk of dying. It's a really, really difficult boss on the PlayStation 2. As I was saying before, it's one of the hardest bosses in the game, and in HD collection, we don't really consider it among the difficult bosses.
Now, like we may or may not have mentioned before, they both runners are on European extreme difficulty, so that is game over if discovered. If these guys get seen by a guard at all, it's an instant game over. They have to take a continue and try the whole room again. On top of that, guards can see very well, and they will not hesitate to spot you. Now, Ed has
No.
accidentally. Oh, never mind. He didn't shoot the wall. Martyr did though. So Martyr was going for a quick headshot on those guards. Accidentally shot the wall, which got the caution on the guard in the back. You don't really want that because that's going to make backup guards come from the direction that you're going. So you have a very real chance of hitting them on the way out of the room.
He's having a real struggle hitting these guards, and he's rightly going to reset. So what happens in this bridge situation? Once you've alerted the third guard and he begins his radio call, if he gets to the end of his radio call, as Major said, two guards are going to come. If you still haven't dealt with the first two guards on the bridge, you then have the third guard to deal with, and two guards who are going to be looking right at you as they enter the room. The correct thing to do was to reset there.
for sure. That was a good call.
It is a scary little situation, this, and because you're hitting these guards from so far back,
And
you can run into danger.
we see Ed has made a mistake in Rosuyet. Rosuyet's a very tricky room in Virtuous missions. So what he was going for is there's a guard on the second level at the far back of the room there, and he was trying to shoot him. He missed, shot the wall, and the similar thing is going to happen here. That throws the guards all out of whack. So what he opted to do was, instead of trying to do some slow strat to get through, he just fake death pilled and tried again and nailed it the second time around. This roll here is also tricky. However, Ed opts not to do it, instead shooting the wall, which makes the guard that he would normally roll into run into the corner where he can't see Ed as he runs by. Now we see Martyr doing the same room. They start with a quick headshot on that first guard, and 2 body shots on the guard on the second level at the back of the room, and he'll be unconscious by the time you would be in his line of sight. Nice, he makes it through cleanly, and the roll, nice. That roll is tighter than it looks, because if you notice, the guard had the blue exclamation point over his head. That means that he saw Snake. So if you don't do something to interrupt him, he will alert on Snake very quickly. That's the point of the roll. Knocking him over cancels the resets the timer basically. And as long as you're out of sight by the time he stands up, you won't get the alert.
Yeah, it's an awkward part because if you are too slow moving your analog stick, so you're like holding right and you need to go north, you need to do it in like one motion. If you use any frames to turn Snake, you will essentially just get caught. But yeah, we've all been caught there. It's a tough little roll. There's always that decision making in MGS3. Once something goes wrong, whether you just open your menu and hit fake death pill to get the restart on the room as quickly as possible. And knowing when you've messed something up and the right time to hit that is, will save you a lot of time overall because you can mess up a room at the start, but you won't actually get caught until you reach the end. Now, did Ed just enter the menu and turn Subsistence camera off? Did I just see that?
Perhaps.
Fair enough. I suppose the one benefit of the PlayStation 2 version is the item menu is a little bit more responsive than it is in HD Collection. But that's it.
Yeah,
That's all you get in as a benefit.
I think they must have messed something up when they did the frame rate conversion. That menu just feels a lot worse on HD edition. I don't know why.
We're both through to Snake Eater. I'd say it's pretty even at the moment. A few tricky rooms in Snake Eater, and then of course the Ocelot unit. I think Ed turned the 3D. I think he had the 3D camera turned off, and he just turned it on. Weird one. Or maybe he just went into the menu completely accidentally, and I'm just talking rubbish.
I'm gonna go with option 2. So this part of Operation Snake Eater is pretty simple. There's no guards or anything. Just walk into the cutscene trigger. However, the room immediately after this cutscene, it's one of the trickiest rooms in the game. What's going to happen is he's going to be in caution basically, and there's going to be 2 guards coming towards him, and he needs to get past them with a tricky roll. So both runners are going to roll at a specific moment once they cross a visual cue, which is a tree at the corner, which is going to get the attention of one of the guards in the back that's coming towards them. And because that one guard sees Snake, he's going to stop, and then the other guard is going to see that guard getting cautioned or whatever he's doing. So they're both going to stop paying attention to the to Snake. Very good. That was good from Ed. And then he cooks a grenade so he can walk past this this other guard without him hearing his footsteps. Whenever you cook a grenade on some terrains, anyway, whenever you cook a grenade, it silences Snake's footsteps for reasons unknown. But it works, and it's very useful.
Yeah, line looks really good from both there. You have to stay so close to the edge of the map. 1 foot out of place will get you caught in that room, so.
Absolutely. That was clean from both. Another tricky room here. Ooh, frame 1.
I know, that was crazy. And he does bridge roll.
Wow.
Really, really nice from Ed.
So
The
that's
absolute
another
skill on display there.
That's another tricky room. You're gonna see it here from Martyr now. He's gonna hug this wall on the left because otherwise the guard on the bottom there is looking towards him. He'll see him. He's gonna roll at a specific point and then roll between these two trees to get out of the guard's vision just in time. And that was also beautiful execution from Martyr there. So, excuse me.
Yeah,
So
no,
that's kind of tight. So that guard, the one he's not only looking at you just as you start the room, but after you do that first roll, he's also looking at he's gonna just turn to Snake. So you don't have a whole lot of time to get that roll between the trees. And on top of that, the hitbox for the trees is not tree shaped and it's surprisingly large. They're big squares, they're easy to hit and get stuck on. And if you get stuck on them for even a split second, you are going to get a continue in that room. And to compound it all, they're doing a bridge roll where they roll over the railing on the bridge. Super tricky. Really good execution from both of them.
yeah, the role in the game allows you to pass through some objects that you're not supposed to be able to. The bridge is one example of them. There's a lot of railings in the game that you can completely just roll over as well. Um, it's a little bit. It can be done on all versions. It's easiest to do on the Xbox version. It's hardest to do on the PlayStation 3, but PS2 somewhere in the middle. It is risky to go for still.
And now we see both runners beginning Ocelot unit. So first things first, they're going to unequip some junk items they don't need and equip the Mark 22. That's going to be very important for the whole game. Going to open up with a body shot on this guard just outside the window. It's important that it's a body shot, so that way you don't alert the guards at the wrong moment. Otherwise, they'll come in the room early and give you an alert. Doing some cleanup here, getting rid of those guards through the windows. And now he's going to throw a stun grenade through this doorway, which takes out the four guards that were storming the room that Snake was in. That was a clean grenade throw. He got all of them.
Yeah. Martyr accidentally hit. Sometimes when you're mashing through that menu, you can accidentally hit triangle, and we've all done it at different points, and it will just immediately open up the vent in front of you. So he knew he had to restart there. Like that's a mistake. Just comes from exiting out of the menu. But the Ocelot unit, easily one of the hardest bosses in the whole game, and Ed is making a real show of it right now. He's done so well to nail that fight like this.
That was really clean.
Now, of course, the mistakes in I don't think all his guards are down. Yeah, I don't think all his guards are down. Ooh, very nice.
But he knew how to handle it. Some people prefer to shoot those guards in the head before going for the guard on the roof. But it is a little bit faster to take the risk and shoot the guard on the roof and then roll into the guards that are still standing, assuming you don't have all four of them standing.
Yeah, the
I
main
think he
problem
missed
being
that
if
guard, didn't he? Oh
yeah, I
no.
think he did. I think he got one, but not in the head.
So this is not a situation you want to be in because these guards can sometimes go to places you don't expect them to. And if you're staying in the wrong place at the wrong time, they might just run up on you and give you an alert. So it's really not fun to have these guards doing things that are, outside of the routine. All right, that is the last guard, and that is Ocelot unit for Martyr.
Yeah, second attempt much better, but Ed's was about as perfect as you can do it. Really nice fight from him.
Yeah,
And at some point, I didn't see him do it, but Edboy has menued the brown face paint, which will give him unlimited oxygen. It doesn't really matter at this point, but later when you're swimming down the river, it means you don't have to get out of the water at all. I think he's doing some FPS reduction with his camera as well. So the Bolshaya base south, this room that Ed's entering now, it's slightly harder in the PlayStation 2 version because there's a glitch where you can push the cardboard box into the electric fence and it won't electrocute you, but it will in the PlayStation 2 version. So he will have to do this room a little bit differently. I think what he'll do is, after he drops down from the tree, he'll use the box to get the guard's attention on the right-hand side of the room. This looks good so far from Ed. And yeah, I do think he's doing like trying to keep his FPS as high as possible with this camera. This room looks exceptionally laggy. He needs
Yeah.
both. He needs both to notice him. I don't think the other one has. So he's going to have to do a...
Oh, neither of them did. The other guy, I don't think he's even moving. Yeah, he's gonna take it safe and shoot them both in the head. All right, that
Yeah,
could
he's
cause
going to...
problems with the dog at the end of the room, though. If
Yeah,
you're not careful.
this is the same as Tuxedo now. You have to shoot the dog after you come out of intrusion view.
Nice, he knew.
This should be fine. Yeah, this will be fine.
All right. A little bit messy, but he saved it. It's good. And now we see
There's
Martyr attacking it.
100% a chance for Martyr to get some time back now, because Ed was waiting a lot of time to stand and shoot those guards. This room's quite fluid when done correctly. Now, Ed has played quite a bit of HD collection, whereas Martyr's always been like a PS2 purist. So you will see those kind of HD collection ideas coming through even in the PS2 version. I like this from Martyr. He barely took the right side. If this works, it's really strong. He didn't have to go out of his way at all to get those guards' attention.
Wow, that was super clean.
Yeah, that was really fast.
That's about the same speed as you would do it on HD edition. That's really good. So now we see Ed is taking a bit of a safe strat here with Ocelot. He's going to go ahead and use the Patriot on him. If you were concerned about kills for any reason, fear not, this doesn't count as a kill, because Ocelot doesn't die, but I have a feeling that Ed doesn't care. Regardless, the Patriot's a pretty easy way to take Ocelot out, but it is a little bit slower than doing what I think Martyr is going to do, which is a loop consisting of the Mark 22 and some stun grenades. But this is very safe, very easy, and not too slow. Clean.
You do tend to get shot up a bit when using the Patriot strat for Ocelot. On average, you'll take a lot less hits when using the Mark 22 strat, and you need that health for the pain. That health's going to be really important later.
All right, so Martyr opens up with a Mark 22 shot to Ocelot's back, which stops him in his tracks. Throws a stun grenade, which is going to initiate the loop. He's going to alternate between shooting Ocelot in the head with his Mark 22 and throwing another stun grenade to keep Ocelot stunned for as long as possible. And then he just shot the Markor, which is going to get Ocelot's attention after he shoots him again. And opens him up to finish the fight here. With one more shot, I believe, should kill him. He has escaped on him a little bit. Ideally, the last shot on him would be while he's just running either back towards the tree or to his next position. But he escaped from him a little bit. A few seconds time loss, but nothing too bad. Definitely faster than Ed's, for sure.
For sure. Probably like 8-9 seconds faster, something like that. And of course, because Mart's playing on New Game, he does need that Animals camo from Ocelot, so he doesn't have a lethal variant. Not that he has a Patriot to kill him with anyway, but he definitely had to do a non-lethal strat. Ed will already have the Animals camo on his save, and that will come in really useful later on in the game after the lab. I wonder if Ed will use the Patriot for the pain. I think he will. I think he'll do a lethal Patriot. He missed the life med there. I don't think it's that important on normal European extreme runs.
Have our answer.
Yeah, so I think this is a strat I came up with, right? I couldn't do the non-lethal version, so I just opted to use the Patriot. The only thing you've got to look at... Oh, one thing there that you may never see is when the pain does the grenade, he doesn't have like... he won't get iframes no matter how many times you hit him during that time, so you can just do his entire health in one spray with the Patriot. It's really, really useful. But of course, you see the phase 2, Ed's going to have to dive to avoid these bullet bees, which are super dangerous, and then he's just going to surface, hopefully land grenades on that platform. He's going to use the roof to help him do that. Oh, can he see him? He can't quite see him.
Standing on your toes while in the water, I love it.
Yeah, slightly, yeah. How did he do that?
We see a different variation of the pain strat here from Martyr. He's going to be doing the faster strat to shoot him in the head with the Mark 22. However, he is missing quite a few of these shots. Very unfortunate. So shoot him 4 times in the head, and then you would normally throw a cigar question mark? Yeah, anyway, you would normally throw a grenade at. Oh, he's gonna fake death pill and try again. Alright. A little bit
Yeah,
unfortunate here. Both the runners have had the fight escape from him a little bit here.
we're absolutely not kidding when we say this is one of the hardest fights in the whole run.
It's probably the hardest fight on PS2. Probably way harder than Fury, I would say. I struggle with the pain a lot more than I do the Fury on PS2. That's for sure.
Yeah, Ed's out. He's going to be feeling good about that. There's a lot of time in these races on the PlayStation 2 version of the game to get ahead if you get decent pain.
For sure. But Martyr got a clean phase 1 on that attempt. Phase 2 is going to be to dodge the bullet bees, probably by going in the water and then throwing a grenade. Oh, he's going to do this first. All right, very interesting. So he throws the grenade to take down the Pain's bee shield, and then he
Oh, he's
goes
in the
for
water
one.
and he's hitting him. He's hitting him in the
Yeah,
water. He took the shield off. Oh my god, that's so good. Martyr deserves to win just for that. I love that. Yeah, you really are just like fighting against the Pain's little tricks here and trying to get as many shots as you can in between. Really unfortunate that the Pain rolled after the grenade came out because the roll gives the Pain iframes. You can't take his shield off while he's in a roll. Just another way that this boss gets us. And that swarm is absolutely lethal. You really can't sit and contend with that. But again, he's in the water, hitting the Pain. He's doing quite well on these shots. Got a couple of chest shots there. He's got to check his grenade count. There are grenade spawns in this room, both for the smoke and for the regular grenade. And he may have a chance to pick him off here. This fight is so rough. Like, I'm sure you'll appreciate how hard this fight actually is.
yeah,
When
for
he
sure.
drops the grenade, when he drops the grenade on the platform, you can use the climbing animation to get iframes from it, and also the falling into the water animation will give you iframes as well. So you can just drop off as the grenade's about to explode, or climb up just as the grenade's about to explode, and that will really help you. He's got a chance to finish the fight here. It's got to be done on this grenade, so hopefully the Pain doesn't roll. No, we should be good to finish the fight here. One more, could be a chest shot, he's out.
Alright. So now we see Ed sniping the end early. No, wait. The other thing. Not doing that.
Yeah, just doing a bit of damage to him. Do we see modern end strats from these two players with teleporting the end in? I know you'll have to do a lot more running back and forth with the end, just because the cigar gas spray doesn't always do double damage on the PlayStation 2 version of the game. It's kind of random. I know people think crouching makes it do it, but it's not a guaranteed thing. So the cigar gas spray is kind of bugged, and on the HD collection it always does double damage. Very nice warehouse one from Ed, really, really skilled at.
It is a bit of a wonder if what we'll see for the end from both runners, because I know that Martyr has had a history of struggling with the new end strat. Those opening 3 shots are particularly tricky on PS2 because you just can't see very well. The low resolution and natural blurriness of the PS2's video output makes those shots tricky.
Yeah, quick reloading messes with the Mark 22 on the PlayStation 2 version of the game as well. You can't just like nail them out like we do on HD Collection. You have to shoot and then let the gun fully chamber the next shot. I was going to say reload, but I felt like you'd kill me if I said that.
I, I, I don't think it's wrong. But anyway. You see Martyr here. He is just hugging the right side of the river here, and as long as he's low down in the river, the guards won't be able to see him.
Ed's picking up a snake?
Snake
Question
slide.
mark.
Yeah, really, a milk snake. What's he gonna do with that?
I'm so curious. I want to know what's he going to do with this snake. It's like that. Do you remember when we watched that run on speedrun.com where he picked up the magazines and the whole run? We're like, what is he going to do with them?
Yeah,
I feel like that again.
that
What
was
is he going
Blackie.
to do? Yeah. Was that? Was it really?
Yeah, he picked up 3 magazines, I think, books, and then used one of them in the escape. He used it on the Eastern Guard. Sorry,
No
the Eva
way.
escort. Yeah,
He doesn't do that anymore. Sadly.
right.
So Marta here, he gets his headshot on the guard. Now he's going to hit a barrel to damage the end. Very good. You need to shoot the other one before he gets on his radio. It's not too bad if he gets on his radio, but you're going to have to deal with the backup guards. There is an extra barrel, fortunately, stood right next to where they come from. And now because Ed used the brown face paint for the river, he will now use put the rider mask on now rather than going to no face paint. Strat I came up with when I was doing things to make this run a little bit easier. So you just use the rider mask all the way to where you actually have to put it on in the game, and it saves you a menu, so it only costs you 1 menu to put the brown face paint on rather than 2.
Now we see Martyr
Warehouse 1.
attacking Warehouse 1. First thing he does is roll into that guard at the bottom of the stairs, and unfortunately he didn't put the box on early enough, which means that he stutter stepped up the stairs a little bit, which meant that he was unable to get out of that guard's vision in time. The whole premise of this room is that you needed to knock the guards over and then get out of their vision before they stand up. If you dilly-dally for just a second, you're not going to be able to get out in time. You're going to tank an alert. Now this is scary. He can save this by going left or putting the box on and doing the normal strat. He opted to go left, so now he's going to have to do a backup strat where he's going to take this guard out and probably knock on the wall.
Wow,
Which
that
he did
roll
not.
to the guard was so dangerous because they can hear you like you're running up to them. I think the stairs may have caused issue with it, something like that. If they were on normal terrain there, the guard would have heard him when he rolled next to him as he was standing up from the roll. So maybe a little bit of luck there, but he knew what to do as a backup. He knew how that if you drop off the left side of those boxes, you never have enough time to get up to the guard. You only get that kind of knowledge by doing that room hundreds and hundreds of times.
Right, you are, Ken.
And is Ed going to do a out of bounds here to get out of the lab? We don't really see this that often. Even if you do it right first time, I believe it's like only a second faster or something like that.
Second slower.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, it's slower. Useful for Tuxedo, but you get less time to activate the glitch. Oh, that's not good.
Oh,
Oh,
he's
he's
gonna get an
okay.
alert here, I think.
No, he's in a
Okay.
wall. He's in a wall. He's fine. The guard can't see him because he's not in bounds.
I used to have trouble with that. When I would be a little bit slow on the out of bounds there, if the guard saw me, when I did that second roll to go through the load zone, I would sometimes get an alert. So I was a little bit skeptical there, but he made it out cleanly.
Yeah, the vent glitch would actually save a lot of time in the Tuxedo run just because of how long it is to get out of that lab. Maybe we'll see some hero going for that in the future. Nice line from Marta there as well. He didn't have to equip the box at all on his way into the lab. And now we'll see the fear from Ed. He's not got his stun grenade equipped, so now he can't get the... oh, he's equipping it. That's good. When you're using the Patriot strat, you need to equip the stun grenade before you enter the fear. When you fake death bill, it has to be already equipped, otherwise you can't throw it down fast enough to stun the fear with it.
So now we see one of the benefits. New Game Plus here.
Looks good so far. Yeah, this will be fine. We should have plenty of time to do enough damage.
Perfect. Edboi's killing it.
He's playing really well. Yeah.
Oh, that box looks a little bit sketchy from Martyr, but he makes it. Nice. So what happened there is he nudged the corner of that cubicle when he put the box on, which meant that he kind of like stuttered back a little bit. Normally, that means that the guard who sees the box has just enough time to see it for a little bit longer and give you an alert. But thankfully, he made it out just fine.
Yeah, his line down the left side was really good. Like it can be risky going too close to the cubicles like that because the box can get caught on them. But yeah, really nice line there.
Warehouse 2 from Ed. Will he do the box headshot or will he play it safe? Looks like he's going to do the box headshot. And he does. Oh, wait.
Looks good so far.
Yeah, safety strat. Okay, so the beginning of that room is the same. You roll off the ledge, or the railing, excuse me, and land on top of a guard, which knocks him out. Then you shoot the wall, which this guard here, it sends him into caution and sends him into a more favorable position. Then you simply wait for the guard on the ground floor to turn around and move on. It's a much safer strat than the box headshot, but it is a few seconds slower because it requires you to wait. But definitely a viable strat, especially on PS2. Box
Yeah,
headshots are a little bit harder on PS2.
Interestingly, Ed does actually have like a YouTube video in the PlayStation 2 version that shows multiple ways to do Warehouse 2. So I know that he has taken that room seriously and really investigated like what will work for him. Going with something a little bit safer in that room, especially in a race, is well worth doing. And like you say, PlayStation 2 version box headshots much more dangerous. And Ed saying in the chat that this run is going well. What the fuck? Well, you're not even halfway through, my friend. So, so it's kind of like that video with the two people racing, and the guy starts celebrating before he gets to the finish line. Risky business.
Especially just going into the end.
Yeah.
All right, so Ed is opting to use the smoke grenades here again to silence his footsteps to walk past that guard instead of, for example, rolling past that loud mud that you can walk on. Some people will opt to do that instead. We see the new game strat here for the fear from Martyr. It involves running up to this trap, fake death pilling, which is going to make the fear run into the trap's line of fire, basically. And once he revives, you can throw a stun grenade, activate this trap, and hopefully that should kill the fear perfectly.
Just
His
looks like it's
positioning looks
lined up
great.
well. Yeah. Looks
Yeah, his positioning looks fantastic.
spot on. This has got to work, surely.
Nice. Didn't have to do a thing. Some people like to pull out the 1911 and do some shots on the fear there to do a little bit of extra damage, makes the fight a little bit safer because there is still a chance that the fear won't die if you don't do some extra damage to him. But that positioning was really good. He nailed it.
Here's something from Ed that you really will not see that often anymore. He's using a smoke grenade there, which you don't need to do. He's going to go all the way round to where the end spawns, and he's going to loop the end from his starting position. We should have probably known that when he took the arrow out. I'm assuming he's taken the arrow out. And if he hasn't taken the arrow out, I'm pretty sure this strat doesn't work, right? Like you have to, right?
I don't know that you
Oh,
have to, but
Matt went for the box headshot, and he was slightly out of whack. He just wasn't quite on a line with him. Warehouse 2, very, very difficult room. Cannot stress that enough.
So what he's doing is a box headshot, like we mentioned before. What he needs to do is line up the box perfectly with this guard here and spam square as he comes out of the box. And what that does is it makes the gun shoot a little bit higher than it would if you shot normally, which is just enough height to shoot the guard right in the head and knock him out. Now, the problem is that you don't get any auto aim when you're doing this, so you have to aim perfectly manually with the box. Now, we see Ed here doing 2004 strats for a 2004 game. Classic, I'm loving it. He's just basically going to loop the end on the ground with some sig spray and some grenades, some smoke grenades and some stun grenades.
It's been so long since I've seen this, like.
Right? We stopped doing this strat mid 2000, either 2019 or 2020. I'm not sure which.
May 2020.
Yeah, that. A new strat was found by GoGo Time. Saves about 45 seconds overall, I think. Oh, that's not good. So the end is going into the next room. He's escaped into the next room with quite a lot of stamina left. That's not something you want to see. I'm not sure how he's going to handle this. Hopefully, he has some more stun grenades left or something to loop him with.
We have a few rules, and one of them is you absolutely never chase the end into another room. It's always better to reset, try loop again. But realistically, this is going to give Martyr a chance to catch up. Like, he has to really know how the end's going to move now. I'll be impressed if he pulls this off. Like, seriously, I'll be so impressed if he manages to kill the end fast still here.
Oh, and he's
He's
going to have
left
to.
with him.
So now the end is in Silkroviano North, and his spawn position will be random. So he's going to have to do a sniper shot on the end here with his Mark 22, and hopefully he gets a good position.
Yeah, I'm not sure off the top of my head how many positions there are for
Wait.
the boss in this room. Like,
Oh, okay.
there's a lot. This is nightmare time. Really,
Oh, yeah.
really nightmare time. As I say, this is why we never ever leave the room. And like now they're both about to be at the end, and that's not the end of the game. It's the boss called the end. There is also a boss called the boss, but that's not this boss. That boss is at the end. I see you in the chat. You know, Martyr's caught up here. Martyr's caught up, and they're both one shot from the end away from being sent all the way back to the lab. And Ed is really at risk of this right now. He needs to call for
I
Oh,
think
he's
he's
saving! He's saving! He's saving because if he gets hit here, this will be his only way to kind of like stay in the race.
Ladies and gentlemen, the rules did not say anything about safety saves.
I love it. I love it because ultimately in RTA this is going to be way slower, right?
Oh, yeah.
Marta's going for the modern strategy. He's got the 3 shots at the start. It is a decent amount of damage. And now what Marta's going to do is going to go to the east side of the room, and he's going to wait 25 seconds. And how we do that is by doing punch kicks. I like to do 7 for safety. And then he's going to throw a smoke grenade and fire a loud weapon, which will make the end spawn in the furthest position that he can see Snake from. That's why we preemptively throw the smoke grenade, and that will prevent the end from seeing us as soon as he spawns. Fire the gun. And did Ed just take a shot from the end? This is madness.
I did not expect this.
This is madness. Yeah.
I did not
So now he's going to
expect
load
this.
his save, I assume. Yeah, he's going to load his save in the fight, but he still needs to do it. Marta's looking good. He needs to do hold up. Yeah, he gets the hold up. Now, as long as Marta can stay with the end and run back and forth in this fight, he should be good. Menuhin's a little nervous, I'd say, but it's looking good so far.
He's definitely been a bit hesitant. I noticed that he was a little bit squirmy with those initial punches, but he's nailing it.
It's such a hard fight, especially on PlayStation 2, just because you don't get that guaranteed double damage of the cigar gas spray. Oh,
Oh,
he
he caught
stops
him
him
with
with
the
a
punches!
punch!
That's a textbook end! That end is perfect! That is so much time saved from Martyr.
That was about as good as you can do it on the PlayStation 2. That was so good. And yeah, Marta's taken the lead.
Oh, absolutely. And just like that. Now we see Ed is just back where he was a few minutes ago. Still fighting the end in Silkroviano North. I think it was a big mistake to chase the end into that room with so much health. I think he should have... Obviously, he should have faked death build and tried that Silkroviano South again.
Yeah, absolutely. Ed's in trouble because your camo's bad in animals and mask. Like, we do the guard rotations because it doesn't really matter what your camo is the way we do the initial rooms leading up to the end. But for actually fighting the end, you never want to be on -15, -25 and stuff. This is a tough fight when you're not using a cheese mechanic. Ed's going to be kicking himself for this one. I think the best thing he can do is quit out and set his clock forward at this point. And I think I'll
Uh,
swap sound over to Martin now, right?
I kept it on Ed because Martyr doesn't have
Yeah.
audio right now. Is Ed's
All right.
stream
Yeah. Yeah.
broken?
No worries. I'm not sure. Let me check the restream. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
It's.
and Ed's offline. His internet has died. That's unfortunate.
I think it's worth saying that just in Metal Gear Solid 3, any race that you do, if you fall behind, like, especially when it's just the start of Snake Eater kind of times, like, don't worry. There is so much in this run that can allow you to pull back. We haven't hit some of the big ones yet. Like, there are just some big ones in this run that can pull you back. The end is, of course, one of them, but we got a whole, like, multi-room section full of them as well. I know that Ed's having some internet issues right now. Hopefully we can get those resolved. But while we're staying with Silent Martyr, welcome to Mountains 1. There are 3 Mountains rooms. The game generally gets progressively harder as you go through the mountains. One's the easiest, but it's still pretty rough. What we're trying to do is get to the end of the room before the guard completes his cycle. So we're on a timer. And our stomach's going to growl kind of just as we get there as well, even if timed perfectly. Nice from Marta. What we have to do is make that guard on the right walk down from the mountain. And he does pick up a continue, unfortunate.
All right, we are going to pause for now until we get Ed Boy back. Try to keep this as close as we can, as fair as we can. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to send us on an intermission while we hopefully try and get Ed back. Hope to see you all
See you
in
in
a
a
few.
sec. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this exhibition European Extreme Race between Edboy and SilentMartyr. Ed's internet unfortunately disconnected for just a second, but we are going to get them going right here in just a moment. What we last saw was Edboy being fighting against the end. He was having some trouble. He had to make a save during the fight to get back to it, and Marta caught a continue in Mountains 1. So Marta just took the lead with that absolutely insanely good end kill, like one of the best we've ever seen on the PlayStation 2. I know Major Zero enjoyed that one just as much as I did.
Yeah, I was so happy with that because I know that Martyr has had a history of struggling with that strat on PS2 because it's just so much harder. So many variables add on to it that just compound an already difficult strat on PS2. So I was super excited to see that.
Yeah, it's a modern thing, and really like the only person testing it and doing it on the PS2 is Marta. The only person who's actively doing it and runs is Marta. And he's making a good decision to menu the Mark 22 before. Oh,
Oh.
Ed takes another shot from the end. So if you lose your stamina during the end fight, you get teleported back to the lab. Um, so it is a reset. It's a run killer. Ed's put himself in a really unfortunate position because you want to kill the end from the first room you engage the fight at. So whether you do that from the opening where you shoot him in the head, or if you go all the way around to his room, um, you need to already be killing him on that first room. Once you let him travel around the arena, the fight becomes so RNG based when it shouldn't ever be an RNG fight the way we approach it in speedruns. So he was close there. If he'd have got that second shot off, I think he could have finished him.
Yeah, he
It's such a
definitely whiffed the shot there. That's super unfortunate. He was so close to killing. I think it only took one shot to take him out, but he just barely whiffed it.
yeah, and he still had two before he would actually knock the end down. So he had opportunities, even if he didn't finish him there, to get another shot off. And Marta should be out of Mountain 2 here, as long as he rolls through the guard at the end. Mountain 3 is very tricky room, it's the hardest one. Oh, he's going to bump him just to make sure. Good
Safety.
use of the bump, yeah. Worth doing because Mountain 2 is such a long room to get sent back to the start of it.
For
Now,
sure.
every
A
time he
minute.
loads this save, does it randomize the end's position or is it static? I don't actually know.
I'm not sure. I've never
Oh,
checked.
Marta's going to
Ooh.
take continue 100% there. If
Yeah.
you fall too close to that guard, you're in trouble.
What happened is the guard heard his footsteps when he landed, so he just turned right towards Snake and saw him. You have to be either around that corner, have the guard distracted, or just not miss the roll in order to save that.
Now, the end has seen Ed, and he's picked up that rabbit. Now, I'm assuming he's going to eat it just so he has enough stamina to survive one shot. That's actually a very good plan in this situation. Um, as long as he engages the end pretty soon, his stamina doesn't drop too much more than it has already. Oh, Ed.
Ooh, continue
Mountain
right
3
at
is
the end
so
of Mountain
tough.
3. It's so hard, it's so precise. There's so many variables going on in this room, and any one of them being slightly off can get you an alert just like that. This room is such a tight, delicate dance of just barely being outside of a guard's range of alert. So many guards, every guard in the room except for one, I think, sees you and says, "Who was that?" or something like that, right? But
Yeah.
thankfully, Ed is just now getting out of the end, doesn't get teleported back again. Very thankful to see that, ready to see him move on, get onto the ladder boss.
Yeah, I'm being 100% serious when I say, like, if I end up in that situation that Ed was in, I don't actually know what to do. Like, that's why I never leave the room. I never let the fight get into that situation. I'll always reset it. Um, it's just not optimal for the speed run at all. And he'll have
Yeah,
learned that lesson today. He'll know that going into every other run now that it's just not worth doing for the speed run.
you'll never see Ed do that again, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Something else is that he could have used the healing radio frequency. However, I suspect that he does not know them on European Extreme.
141.78
Yep.
surfing guitar, I think.
Yep. Those healing radio frequencies, they do not count as special items or any way against your stats in any way, but they do restore your stamina to full instantly. So if you use them, It's a free ticket. It's always better than searching around for some food. If you're in such a situation like this where the end might snipe you early, it's a lot safer to go ahead and use that healing radio than it is to try and find some food. But Martyr has now made it through Mountains 3, made it through the longest cutscene of our lives, the Eva cutscene on the top of mountains, and going into the Fury. What do we say about the Fury?
He's a rough fight. He's very much a PowerPoint presentation on the PlayStation 2 version of the game, which does actually help. It certainly doesn't speed up the fight, but it does really help you get ahead of him on nailing him with those Mosin Nagant shots. So we'll see non-lethal from both. I'm pretty sure. Um, I know Ed's been using the Patriot on a few of the bosses, and you can use the Patriot on the Fury. It's quite a lot slower than the Mosin Nagant, but it's a lot safer. I think we'll see the Mosin Nagant being menued now by Martyr. Just getting rid of some stuff out of his inventory as well. Clean that up.
So the Fury is largely RNG. He has 4 primary spawning points at the beginning of the fight. Where you stand at the beginning of the fight can influence where he goes. However, there's nothing to make it perfectly consistent. So he's just going to take a good line to hopefully give him the best spawn he can get. And it looks like he's gotten a left side close spawn. This spawn is very good. You definitely want this. And he even got in with those early shots before the Fury was able to shoot at Snake. Those shots are hard on HD. They're even harder on PS2. That was really good. Oh, this is super clean so far. Oh, I think he's jumped away.
He only needs 3 here. As long as he isn't... Oh, this could be it.
Come on, Scope! Come on! Oh, that was super clean! That's such a good Fury! That's textbook! Oh my god. So, yeah, I mean, that's a perfect Fury loop. All you need to do is shoot him until he falls over, wait for him to shoot at you. After he shoots at you, he'll almost always try to jump away, and you can use that opportunity to shoot him again, repeat that cycle as many times as you need to finish the fight. That was super clean.
I think the most important thing to recognize about Martyr's fight there is he never ended up in a situation where the Fury caused a whole lot of lag. Every time the Fury was creating fire, Martyr was looking at the wall and away from it, so he managed to stay in like max FPS for the majority of that fight. You can lose so much time just because of how much the game can be slowed down during that section. That was incredible to see.
Yeah, my only real criticism is that he was a little bit hesitant to scope in there for those final shots, and it cost him some time, some misses. You really want to be careful with your misses, because if you take too long, the Fury will either just jump away, or he might shoot you, depending on what part of the cycle he's at. So,
Yep. Whiffing shots during the Fury generally means that you lose the loop as well. Like you'll end up in a situation where he'll either fire back or he'll have time to like blast away. And Ed just did a box headshot. I think he did a box headshot with the M1911. And I think he kept firing it to make sure it works. I'd love to see it.
Oh, he's doing the crazy strat. And he mercs the guard. Nice. All right. So that was to buffer that guard there from getting an alert on Snake there. But instead of what most people would do is shoot the guard, then roll into him to knock him off the mountain. That wouldn't have worked because he was already so far in, so he had to shoot the guard dead. But it still worked out just fine since Ed doesn't care about kills. Yeah, that's faster than what...
Marta went for the backup scientist uniform strat, but he left the box on too long, which means the guard recognized him. So the guards will still alert to the box, but they won't alert to the scientist uniform. Rykov will, if you have the mask on, but the other guards still won't. So really, really tricky room. Very, very difficult room, especially on the PlayStation 2 version. This is going to give Ed all the time he needs to catch up as well. Like, we're going to need to see a few more continues from Marta, but I know that people have all kinds of difficulties on this room.
For sure. This used to be one of the hardest rooms in the game. Back in the day of when we used to do some super crazy caution strats.
A weird one that you've got to look out for with Rykov is you have to pick him up super quickly. As soon as that radio call says acknowledged, you knock him out and pick him up. If you stand directly in the center of Rykov, Snake just won't pick him up. And that can be just enough time lost to end up losing the room.
Whoa, who saw him? It must have been the guard on
up
top.
at the top. Yeah, the guard up at the top.
So unfortunate. I think he could have peeked out a little bit more and been pretty safe there. He really should have gone for that guard on top, but hindsight's always 2020, especially when you're, heat of the moment in the race. You got to do something right now. You got to make a decision, but sometimes it isn't always the right one.
Yeah, those that better decision making as well comes from just racing people over and over again and playing the game more. I'd say Ed's still pretty fresh to this run, and he is doing well, and he's making the kind of mistakes that give the biggest lessons. I just don't like how much free aiming he does in this section. I know if you stay in this position too long, there is a guard behind you who will eventually see you. He should be okay now, though.
Nice.
Very, very safe strat. It's okay to use a safe strat for Mountain 3. Super tricky room. We've seen both of these runners have problems on it now as well.
I think we've seen every runner who's ever been on this channel struggle in this room quite a lot.
Yep, I always say it is the hardest single room with guards in the normal European Extreme run, and everyone has their own. Everyone has the favorites, but it's a really tricky one.
And everyone has their own little way of doing that room too. So very slight variations that your average viewer would never even notice. But it's just so slight, it makes the biggest difference for each runner to be more comfortable in that room and get through it more consistently.
Yeah, I think it's just shows how many options we have when playing this game. How free form it is compared to um, even the other Metal Gear Solid titles. Everyone has their own flexes, I guess. I can watch a video of any runner playing this game. I'll tell you who it is.
Tell me,
Stop it.
who have you been talking to?
So Ed, he's got a hella catching up to do. He's going to have to have a perfect fury, which is a tall order, very tall order, especially against Martyr's Fury, which was nuts good. Probably the best I've ever seen on PlayStation 2. But then, of course, he's got the tricky Rykov room. Um, it's a tall order at this point.
That's
Just
true, but he does have some opportunities to save quite a lot of time in Rykov because he has two continues that he can save on Martyr there. Martyr took two continues in that room, so big opportunity there.
Yeah, huge opportunities to catch up. And then, of course, there's a few beasts waiting with the rest of the game as well. I mean, we've seen races change hands all the way up to the boss fight. So it isn't over until we kill the boss. And time for each runner will be on the final hit of the boss, not when the camo cutscene ends, I'm assuming.
Yeah, keep it simple. So now we see Ed going into the Fury. He's lost a little bit of time there in the beginning. If you notice, he stopped and changed cameras, so that means he wasn't able to get those opening three shots. And
Oh, Fury's
unfortunately, that
blasted
means the
off.
Fury
Yeah.
was able to escape on him. Oh man, that's super unfortunate. Normally, the Fury doesn't escape there, even if he doesn't get shot, first. Normally, the Fury doesn't just run away immediately. That's very rare, very unfortunate that happened to Ed there. But now Ed's pretty much resigned to a casual fight. He's gonna have to basically just not die because he is on low health. Don't forget, if he touches fire, there's a very good chance that he's gonna die, even if it's just for a split second. So now he's gonna try to snipe the Fury from as far away as he can, trying not to die. Hard to see the Fury, super hard, especially on PS2. PS2's a lot darker.
Who let you in here?
Look at that frame rate.
Yeah, he must be getting a whole 5 frames right now.
Yeah, that's one of the disadvantages. Ooh! That was so close.
He nearly made the wrong choice. He nearly made the wrong
Wow.
choice, but then he made the right choice at the last second. Something
Yeah,
we like to do.
good.
No, you go, mate. You go.
Okay, he's experiencing one of the disadvantages right now of running on NTSC. He's on NTSC-J, the Japanese version, which is running at 30 FPS, which means the game has to basically render more frames. So it basically has more opportunities to slow down. If you were running, for example, PAL, it would have to render fewer frames and therefore generally would run them at a higher percentage of its total frame rate, of its maximum frame rate, I should say. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say it was an incredibly clean fight from Ed. Despite the mistakes, he managed to not die. If you manage to get through the Fury fight and not die, no matter what happens, that's generally a pretty good fight. Some unfortunate RNG with him doing the immediate blast off, but now we're going to see Martyr. He did the 6 strat, but he hasn't got the rat, so he will have to pick up the noodles from Johnny. Johnny will always drop smoke grenades and then noodles. We need the smoke grenades for sure, and also any throwable item. He needs to equip it before he exits the room, and he
Ooh.
hasn't. This
I
could
wonder
be
what he's gonna
problems because
do.
I don't think there's enough frames to do it
Yeah.
in.
This trick is, of course, frame perfect, so I'm not sure how he's gonna manage this. Okay. Alright. It
If
worked.
this works, oh my god. That was awesome. I think because he did the
Wow.
quick throw rather than letting his arm raise. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think that works on HD collection like that.
I don't think so. Yeah,
But
I
it's
think
just
you're right.
Marta once again showing us his PS2 prowess. Like he knows this version, I'd say better than anyone that's active at the moment. So if he does something, who am I to comment?
All right, super eager to see Ed's Rykov here. So he's doing the modern strat with the smoke grenades. He's gonna throw a smoke grenade. Oh, he whipped it!
Yeah,
Does he
that
have
isn't
another?
gonna
He does
work. That
not.
isn't
So he's
gonna
gonna have to
work.
back up to the MS strat. Or no, he's just gonna take it, continue, and try again. That's so unfortunate. So what he's trying to do here is he's gonna throw that smoke grenade at the base of the stairs, which is going to keep the guard in the hallway from instantly alerting on him. Then he's gonna shoot the guard in the chest with his 1911, which is gonna make him recoil. And he's more importantly, he's gonna go into a caution, which is gonna send Rykov into a caution because basically that guard and Rykov are for some reason telepathically linked. And that's going to send Rykov to the nearest radio, which is in this room here where Ed is right now. And he's going to meet Rykov halfway, sig spray him, and drag him home. Steal his clothes just like that. That's a clean second try. Super unfortunate with that missed grenade throw on the first attempt. Similarly, with missed smoke grenade throws, we see that Martyr took a continue here on the last room of prison escape, the last room on the surface anyway. I think that smoke grenade was just a little bit off, and the guard in the back was able to see him. Super unfortunate. But sometimes it does happen. This is a tricky room.
Yeah, you can. If this is a room where you feel like you can absolutely do everything right and still get caught. But he's free. He's going to be feeling good about that because you can get stuck there for sure.
It happens. It happens to everyone. Until you kind of like develop a rhythm for it, and you kind of just, I don't know, get lucky every time.
I wonder why you ever get caught on it. I wonder why you ever got caught on it in the past.
So Martyr has equipped the cigar here for prison escape. This is for a reason. It's not just for swag. The cigar is going to lower your health constantly throughout escape, which means that when you get to the Sorrow, you're going to be able to die a lot quicker, which is definitely faster in RTA. Now, since this race is RTA, that's all they care about. So they definitely want to equip that cigar. Hopefully Ed will do the same when he gets to this point. Overall, I would say that Ed has made up a little bit of time. He still has a lot of coming back to do, but he's working his way there. Definitely not taking as many continues on Rykov would definitely helped him out. He's looking good in that regard.
It's just that end game. I mean, the bike chase is going to be whatever. I don't think you'll see much difference in that. There's final rooms. There's final rooms up to Volgin, and those final rooms during the Eva escape. The Shago Hard as well
Oh
could
yeah,
mean huge differences between these two runners.
for sure. Now I'm not sure if either runner goes for the loop. I'm fairly certain that Ed doesn't. Now Martyr's a bit of a wild card. I don't know if he ever learned the loop. If he did, that's going to be an opportunity for some major gap saving, major area denial here for Martyr.
Yeah, there can be minutes difference between a perfect Shago Hard and one that gets away from you. I think more and more players are adopting the loop now. Now, is it easier on PlayStation 2 or is it harder? I can never forget what order it is. I know it's easier on the Xbox.
I find it harder.
Well, that's just how Marta likes it, so hopefully we'll see a sick Shago Hard loop from him. Will we see
Yeah,
anyone no-scoping Volgin with the Mo's and the gun?
I'm gonna go with a solid no on that one, Chief. However, if we're talking about hard bosses, Volgin is pretty trivial in HD, but on a PS2, he's definitely a lot harder because one of the side effects of them increasing the frame rate to 60 was that they doubled the fire rate of all semi-automatic gun, which means that you can just unload on that dude with the SVD and rinse his health. Now on the PS2, because you fire so slowly, you don't have enough time to do that, to basically one cycle him in phase one. So that could cause some problems for either of these runners going on. I have seen both runners have some trouble on Volgin before because they couldn't get enough DPS out in time.
Yeah, so another one to kind of forget when explaining the difference between PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 2, HD collection and subsistence. it's funny how trivial Volgin is, especially in Phase 2. Um, it was a weird one for me when I first started watching Martyr stream this game, is that I couldn't work out what the problem was, and it's just something that's not obvious. But yeah, the fight is much, much harder on PS2. It really is nice to see that, Mott has kind of been willing to race anyone on the PlayStation 2 version of this game, and the number of players really hasn't been there. Maybe over the next year or so, we'll see people begin to explore the PS2 version much more again, as I do feel like it's an excellent version of the game.
It's definitely unique, and if someone's feeling like they're kind of tired of what the game offers on the modern consoles, I think that it's really worthwhile to explore the PS2 version in all of its differences and see what you really think of it. Something new way to experience the game. At least casually, because it's got all this extra content that was left out of the HD edition, like
Mhm.
Boss Duel. Boss Duel, we have a leaderboard for that on speedrun.com. If you wanted to go for fastest time or highest score, we compete over those things. Speedrun.com. So Secret Theater, the Guy Savage minigame, things like that, all cut from the HD edition.
I do think you'll see, whereas you see mainly HD collection players go to the PS2 version, they have a rough time with it. I do think you'd see PlayStation 2 players go to HD and be amazing at it. I really think that like you would feel like the weights had been taken off when you run the HD collection version. Yeah,
Yeah, it
Ed
really
knew.
makes me.
Ed recognized there that he had menued the wrong thing and didn't have enough time to do that strat anymore. So he rightly re-entered the room and exit again. Good awareness, really good awareness, considering how long he's been playing the game. And this strat outside here, it works differently.
Oh, that's a caution. That's not good. You don't want that.
Yeah, you don't
You
want a
can
caution.
He's gonna have to fake death pill. I wonder when he's gonna realize it. He's gonna have to fake death pill before he gets to the. That's there you
Yeah,
go. Okay, so you
I,
cannot use the truck even if you have a caution. If you have anything, you can't use the truck. So he had no choice there but to take a continue and try again. Now this strat is very strange on PS2. Normally on HD, you would just shoot that guard as soon as you can, basically, and move on, and you would never get a caution or anything. But on PS2, not entirely sure why. If you do that, sometimes you'll get a caution, and sometimes you won't. So what you have to do to make it more consistent is delay for a super long time, and that usually will be fine. Now, very interesting there. That guard in the back actually saw the box. Martyr was aware, recognized that, and immediately took a different course to get behind the tank and took a good line to get through that room without taking another continue and without getting spotted. That's really good awareness too.
that was a fantastic backup. I'm so impressed by that. I really am. That is a much much harder room on the PlayStation 2 version compared to HD collection. Wow, where did Ed get caught in that room? It must have been while he was at the end of it.
I think that is continue number 2 or 3 for Ed here. That's very much not good for him. Oh,
His smoke's not quite enough to the left.
yeah.
Yeah, he got a super weird continue right at the end of the room. And of course, this room's nice and free on the PS2 version and the HD collection alike. We'll just shoot that wall, cause caution, and then we can safely go around planting all the bombs. I'm really looking forward to this Volgin fight from Marta now. You will see that difference in the fire rate. And Marta, of course, has Oscam equipped. Something that's, I guess, kind of a recent change for speedrunning. Metal Gear Solid 3 is the Subsistence version, and the HD collection allows you to have the Oscam even on new game as long as you press I like MGS3 at the start. It reduces incoming damage by 33%, which is incredibly useful for the bike chase, and you don't have to change the camo again, so you don't have to put it on and take it off like you do with Cold War camo. You can just menu it once when you do your big menu after you meet Eva. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what's
Oh,
gone wrong for Ed in this room, but he's having a real
yeah.
tough time with it. So, Martyr is going to throw Volgin to the ground. CQC throw, you can't use slam. He's going to shoot him once, and then as he's standing up, keep shooting him with the SVD. He'll always stand up and gloat. Oh, he went for the headshots. I would have just done body shots, but I assume he wanted to save as much ammo as he possibly could. Oh, how did he catch him with that punch? This is another benefit of Oscam. If the Vulcan fight does go wrong, you will still have that damage reduction in this fight, so you can survive some of Vulcan's attacks that you wouldn't normally be able to. Really
This is not
unfortunate.
looking good.
Really unfortunate that the bullet hit him there.
Ooh, opting to use a life med, very safe.
Using the SA-80. We never see that. We never see anyone do that. That was awesome.
The smoke grenade looks good from Ed. Come on.
Should be through now.
Yes. All right, this should be good. Okay, he's through. That is so unfortunate. That is some major time loss for Ed.
Really good Vulcan from Martyr. It got away from him in phase 1, but he knew what to do. He knew his backups well. The Oscam saved his life. He had the life med as well. Good Vulcan fight. Good display of game knowledge there. And we're on the bike chase. The name of the game is going to be keeping our FPS as high as possible. 30 FPS is the max. We want to deal as much damage as we can to the Shagohod, not take too much damage from the guards, and yeah, just make sure we're taking them out when they prevent their scene from continuing. Now, I'm not sure if lagging out the game actually prevents the guards from spawning in the PS2 version. I know it does in the HD collection, but it probably doesn't in the PS2 version.
I would imagine that it's possible. The major problem would be that it's harder to lag the game on PS2 with the RPG. For some reason, the RPG is just a lot more optimized on the PS2 version, and it doesn't really like to lag the game all that much.
Based PS2 version, as usual. Tall order for Ed now. I think he's going to need SilentMartyr to crumble on one of these stages of the game.
For
It's
sure.
a tall order. He does
The
have
only-
sometimes make up during Vulcan for sure.
This is true. And the only major spot where I could really see some real issues is the second room of Eva Escort, and maybe the boss. But even then, I don't know. He'd really need to make some colossal mistakes for Ed to be able to claw back any time.
Yeah, the boss feels like one of those where you make a mistake on her and, you know, she kills you, the fight starts again. It's only a 40-second to a minute fight anyway. She can kill you. She does a lot of damage on European Extreme. She does like 2/3 of your health per attack. I think the knife is an instant kill as well, right? Her, like, quick knife attack.
Not sure.
You rarely ever see it, right?
For sure, yeah. You rarely see any of her attacks if you're doing the fight well. Ideally, she should never attack you at all. All she'll do is that initial CQC charge, which you parry, and then she would never attack again. Well, like another parry, or
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Ooh, perfect log roll from Ed. That is perfect. That is maximum time save right there. That's
It's
really
nice.
risky strat. You can roll from the log there to the edge of the waterfall and save a couple of seconds at the risk of 25 plus if you mess it up. Very high risk for low reward, but he made it.
Yeah, it's nice to see the problems in this run haven't caused Ed to, like, change the way he plays. He's not gone conservative on anything. He's just stuck to how he plays the game. I really like that. Martyr missing a stun there. Hopefully he gets them with the second one. No, they're still up. Eva will stay parked here for a little bit longer, and it caused the RPG guard to spawn earlier. Oh, he gets them both with that one there. Very nice.
Now, in this part of Bike Chase, he does need to take out all of these 6 guards here. Otherwise, Eva will wait again in that little alleyway where she did just before, waiting for Snake to take out all these guards. So you definitely want to take them out early. That way she gets going as soon as she stops.
Yeah,
See right
think you
there, she
got
only
them all.
stopped for a second. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
good. Now there's two more really important guards that needs to worry about. That guard there on the roof with the RPG, he's super deadly. He will hit you, and he will not feel bad about it. He got him perfectly. Nice. Now there's one more guard, RPG guard, right at the end of the room. Literally right at the end of the room. That guy is so lethal because he does a lot of damage with that RPG, and it's right at the end of the room. So if you mess it up, you don't even have time to reset and try again. You really don't want to go into the next room with low health because although these guards aren't all that accurate, they do quite a lot of damage to you when they hit you on the runway. So really risky to go into that room with low health.
Yeah, even with Oscam, you can't be taking RPG shots. There's still a problem.
For sure. And to top it off, Martyr used his life med already, so he doesn't have anything to fall back on. Especially going to be important when he gets to the flying platform room of Bike Chase 2. Now that's a high-risk room if there ever was one.
Yeah, it's a rough room, especially on PlayStation 2. That guard spawning above you just creates so much lag. It's going to make the room way longer, and the guards have more time to deal so much damage to you. So yeah, could be risky. We'll get a full health restore before then.
It looks like Ed is struggling a little bit with this room too, going in back to Return to Groznygrad. This strat, like I said, is a little bit different on PS2. You do have to wait a little bit. Otherwise, those guards have a very real chance of giving you a caution or even alerting on you, depending on how you mess it up. Okay, so it looks like it works this time. Oh, yes. Okay, it worked that time.
Oh my god, that's
that
crazy.
was super weird. I have never seen that guard on the left turn around like that. What happened is the guard on the left heard his buddy falling unconscious, turned around to investigate. I was sure that was going to give Ed an alert, but it didn't. Super clean. That was good.
Yeah, really cool to see.
The way that works is it's if you noticed we kind of talked over it, but right before Rykov on the first time through Groznygrad, what both riders did is they shot a guard in the head with the Mark 22, which made a guard behind him walk up and investigate, and then both runners walked past that guard in the box, right in front of him, right in his cone of vision. A little bit of a weird AI oversight. If a guard sees his buddy go down, he will prioritize going and checking on him over seeing the box, for example. So you're able to just walk right in front of him as long as you have it on. If you take it off, you're going to get an alert. But as long as you got it on, you're A-okay.
Yeah, it really does help us out quite a few times during the run. It's always something I test out on weird categories as well. I'll always see how much usage I can get out of that in different rooms. Now Martyr's just trying to deal as much damage as he can to the Shagohod. Every time we hit the RPG on the center plate, it will do a very minimal amount of damage to the Shagohod. And I believe it's 40% we can take off the Shagohod, right?
Yeah, 40%. We actually just learned that literally yesterday. We always thought it was a third. No, it's exactly 40%. You can do 600 of his 2,000 health points in damage. 800. Yeah, that's right. My bad. I can't count. Counting's hard.
Yeah, if you manage to do that much damage, you're actually dropping the amount of cycles you have to do in the actual fight, ultimately speeding it up. Max damage is optimal, but it's very difficult to achieve on the European Extreme version. No matter what runner you're doing, I don't think anyone really does it 100% consistently.
No one, for sure. No one. It's so hard to get well because it especially on HD. When you shoot the like chin plate thing, it sometimes hits the treads, and we don't really have a good understanding of why, and it knocks him back. It's very annoying. But now we see Ed doing Volgan. That looks like a really clean phase 1. That's definitely some time save on Martyr in the Volgan fight. Not sure how that's going to weigh out compared to his few continues at the end of Prison Escape, but definitely some time save on Volgan nonetheless. All right, so it looks like he's gonna have to fall back to the Patriot. The Patriot does have infinite ammo, so he doesn't have to worry about running out of this stuff. A little bit slower, but it's pretty safe. And he finishes the fight.
The Patriot, one bullet will knock Volgan into his iframes, whereas the M1911 you get 4. So the M1911 does more damage over time to the Volgan than the Patriot. Just one of those interactions where you've got a game where every single gun does different damage variables to each boss. They don't just have static damage. So
Martyr is, if he's doing a loop, he's definitely not doing a traditional setup. Okay, it looks like he's not going for any sort of loop. So he is going to do 2004 strats for a 2004 game. He's going to shoot the weak spot on the Shagohod as many times as you can, and just shoot the treads, hoping to stun him whenever he gets an opportunity. There is an optimization for the Shagohod now. You can loop him by doing a precisely timed shot on the treads at the very beginning of the fight, and then alternating between shooting the weak spot and the treads in a particular order. He has not opted to do that. It is a little bit tricky to learn. A lot of runners don't bother to learn it, but it can be some major time save if you do. It can be minutes between a good loop and a bad regular fight, for sure. So
yeah, I feel like this
RNG card.
you're kind of at the mercy of Eva's driving when you do the fight this way, and that's why they used to in the past come out all kinds of different speeds. The loop brings consistency to a really RNG heavy fight, essentially. Probably one of the least satisfying fights in the game casually as well, just because you're never really at risk of dying, and tactical reload is way overtuned for how good it is for this fight. If you compare it to like fighting the Rays with Stingers. But he's having this situation where Eva is just not getting to the back quick enough.
Yeah,
Should be
really
out of here pretty soon.
driving.
I think he's got one more, possibly two.
Ah, so he shot the inside tread there, which means the Shagohod's going to turn towards him a little bit inconveniently. He's going to take a little bit longer to get this last shot, but that it should be it just there. And there you go, there's phase 1. So phase 2 is pretty simple. He's going to shoot the treads pretty much right at the beginning of the fight. And then Mosin, Nagant, Volgan in the face 4 times. And that's going to end the fight.
Oh, he's hit the inside tread. This can sometimes turn Volgan towards facing
Just
you,
like
and he'll
that.
be it, yeah.
Oh, I hate to see it. So what happened there is he shot a little bit early, and the Shagohod turned the wrong way towards him, which meant that Volgan was just barely facing Snake, and his shield blocked the shot. Volgan has a shield at the front of him that is almost always active, and even if the Shagohod is stunned, you'll still hit the shield if you're in the wrong position, so real unfortunate.
Good recovery, this. Yeah, he's going to be happy with that one. He needs to do minimal to stay ahead here, and that will do it, I'm pretty sure. Edge using lethal during the bike chase. This will help him catch up because you don't have the menu. You don't have the menu between your stuns and back to the RPG and stuff. You can just stick the RPG on the entire time. The problem is with the RPG is some of these roof guards are difficult to hit with it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's missed 2 guards, so you think he's going to get the extra cycle here, but the extra cycle isn't too bad when you're using the RPG. And he's got to hit this all-important roof guard. Yeah, he's got him. These damage from the guards on the ground is nothing compared to the RPG. Yeah, he's looking really, really nice here. And Martyr's just got to be careful not to lose too much health. He has the Oscam on. Ed's opting not to use the Oscam, which is fine. I'm not sure how Ed can catch up now. He has time to make up in that Shagohod fight, for sure. But I'm just not sure it's enough. And that relies on him getting a perfect loop, which isn't easy. And now Martyr has stayed like non-lethal for the entire game. He's never, even when he lost Foxhound, he didn't opt for any faster lethal strats, just kind of how he plays. I think in a race, you know, it's a personal decision. A lot of us do opt to lethal strats as soon as we take a continue. We mainly see those lethal strats coming into play at the end of the game. I'm not sure if Ed's going to hit this RPG guard here. He could be taking a shot. Oh, sorry, SilentMartyr. I've got my streams the wrong way around. But no, that stun grenade was good. It's very, like, non-traditional method to hit that RPG guard with the stun grenade by throwing it high. And this is the risk. This is the room that can cause you a lot of trouble. Now, SilentMartyr doesn't have the life med, but he does have the OSCAM. Now he's just going to make sure he doesn't take too much damage in this room. It's all going to be about making sure that center guard doesn't park above him. Center guard, once he's in that position, he's somewhere where he actually can't be hit. No, he manages to get him. He's safe for another one. I think there'll be like one more platform guard who can hit his center now. Looking good so far. Nice shooting. Very nice on the next center guard as well. Mark's playing really well using that Mark 22. He's getting some nice shots. Yeah, it's going to need quite a lot to catch up now. Interesting to use the RPG for the log. Weirdly, when you hit the log with the RPG, it doesn't actually cause any splash damage. It's the only object you can hit in the whole game with the RPG that won't splash out. So you can like wait until you're next to it and fire the RPG basically next to the log and you'll be fine. But Martyr's through the platform guard sections. The north section or final bike chase section isn't particularly difficult. You don't tend to take a lot of shots during it. The guards are very easy to deal with. And we'll get to see a bridge from Ed, and then his crack at the Shadowhad fight. Honestly, Ed played really well outside of the end fight. You know, one mistake just really took him out of this. Bit of swag from SilentMartyr to be using the cigar. In cinematic mode, no less. And I believe that OSCAM does reduce the amount of damage you take from the cigar. I think it's from all sources. Ed has set up the loop, not in a traditional way, but this should set up the loop quite nicely. Yeah, he's got a nice parked position. Oh, he missed the tread there. Yeah, he's still in the loop. Ed still has the loop on the Jaguar. This is really nice. Staying behind it just like this. It isn't easy to do. Now, Eva can sometimes drive. If you get too far on the left, Eva will sometimes just drive all the way around the Shadowhod, but she hasn't so far. He only needs 2 more. I think she'll break the loop on this next one. No, she stays there. He gets the final shot. It's a perfectly looped Shadowhod. Really, really nice from Ed. Really, really fast, that. Not easy to do, and as Mage said, on the PlayStation 2 version, it's even more difficult. Ed may have the same trouble that Martyr had with when he hit the Shadowhod. Vulcan's position was facing towards him, and he just hit Eva with a rocket there. I don't know if anyone saw that, but he's doing a Mark 22 strat on the on this boss. Not advised. You don't want to use the Mark 22 for this fight, honestly. He will have to deal with these rockets. You can shoot them, or you can run from them, but if they hit you, they will instantly kill you as well. Sticking with the Mark 22, he's still got a couple more shots to do. You get so little time to do it as well. Yeah, I think he's going to just let this fight reset now. It's just such a snake eater thing that once you want to die, the game won't kill you, right? When you don't want to die, the game will kill you instantly. Look how long it's taken. He's been trying to die to this fight for about 30 seconds now. The game just won't kill him.
Does he not know that he can roll off the ledge?
He could have faked death pilled us, right? Right? He got one from the cell.
Actually, you can't fake death pill here. It's very strange. I don't know why, but you can roll off the ledge. There's a ledge just, you know, the bridge that you blew up. You can just roll off that ledge and die instantly. That's the fastest way to die here.
He's sticking with the Mark 22 for this section. I don't know why. once the strat like that fails, I'm just like, okay, bye. I'll just do the fight normally. So the Mark 22 does just as much damage as the Mosin gun, so that's what the point he's kind of making here is it's the same amount of bullets and cycles. Oh, he's going to be in a race with the... Yeah, he wins. He was in a race with the missiles there.
Something interesting about that fight is obviously the Shaggle Hod has a lot of different attacks that he can use against you. One of them is that big, weird, huge machine gun attack, the center one that like lags the game down to 1 FPS. Funny thing about that, you can dodge it by just standing on your toes. And it won't hit you.
Yeah, I love
Usually.
those kind of interactions in this game. So Martyr's got one more room with guards to go. It's one of the trickiest, doing some far sniping with the Mark 22 here.
I definitely do not approve of this sniping, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't like it, it's scary.
Definitely. That's those shots are scary even when you're right up on them. Doing those shots on PS2 from far away with the blurry and low resolution screen, it's just so risky. I would not do that, but he nailed it, so it worked out for him.
Very unique way to take on that room, and yeah, as you say, worked out.
Oh, you've ended up taking the bad line. She can take a direct line there, or she can go left around the tree. Obviously, left around the tree is slower. She can do it here as well. She can actually do it 3 times in this room. You don't want to do it any of the times. It's really slow. Oh, did he whiff that? Oh, this isn't good. Oh, thankfully, the guard moved into a position where you could be hit. All right, usually if you whiff that shot and shoot the floor, all the guards obviously get set into like a combat mode sort of thing. And that one guard will hide behind the tree and you won't be able to hit him. But thankfully, this time, he was able to hit him. Little bit of shaky Eva Escort 2 here with these guards. But I think he's finally got them all. Oh, he's going for the extra guard. You don't even need to shoot this guy.
I didn't even know there was. I didn't even know there was a guard there.
Yeah, that guard's... I'm not really sure why he's there. He's just facing a wall with a sniper rifle. On top of that, I'm not sure why Martyr shot him. Maybe just for the memes.
He's truly the father of modern sniping.
Well, I guess with all that practice he's had on the end, he's probably gotten pretty good at these Mark 22 snipes.
Well, Ed, I was going to say he's going to end up with a guard above him now, but it doesn't really matter. He's on full health and he has 2 life meds, so he should be okay in this section no matter what happens. But we see Martyr, he's fighting the boss. It's the final fight of the game. We'll be calling time for Martyr as soon as he kills the boss, not once he retrieves the camo and the cutscene ends. It'll be on the final hit of the boss's stamina. He's played well, and yeah, it was a good, safe bet for me, I think. I bet 10k on Martyr. No one can beat him on this version that we know of. I'll let you know once it happens. Breaks the loop here. He can re-engage the loop once, but if he fails it on the second try, I don't think it'll let him back in. Doing 3 shots, knocking her down. I was watching this fight intently. I've not seen it done like this before. scary how much he moves while the boss is charging. That would throw me off when I'm trying to do the reversals. And she gets him in one. Will this kill him? Oh, close. Oscam saved him once again. If he'd have been in regular camo here, the Oscam would have... sorry, if he'd have been in regular camo there, he would have been had.
Without a doubt, that Oscam definitely saved him there. And unfortunately, it didn't save the day. Unfortunate. Like we were saying, the boss can just rinse you. She does so much damage with those attacks.
I think once we hit time, actually, it's just going to stop time for Martyr, the way it's set up on the back end here. But that's when we'll hit time anyway. Resets could be a much healthier fight this time around. Was he slightly not too far from her?
You're better than I remember.
Much more traditional fight the second time from Martyr. It's looking good. His stun went like too far out and didn't actually catch the boss. Is that a risk again here from dying?
His health is dangerously low. If he fails this parry, he will die. But he nails it, and he gets a fast parry on top of that. Very nice. So this should be his opportunity here to end the fight. One more shot with the Mosin should kill her, and it does. And that is GG for Martyr.
Really well played from Martyr. He looks strong, especially considering I know he's been on break from this game. I haven't seen him actively streaming it. I've seen him doing other games. Really well done to him. He's still in it, and I think I'm right in saying he's never lost on the PlayStation 2 version of this game in a race. I think he's got 100% win rate.
Take this. Keep it safe. It's our only hope.
I know the time is shown for edboi, but it's the timer on the back end's broken. It only gives us an option to stop one, so we just stop time now.
Or should I say, snake?
Howdy.
Hey,
Hey,
Martyr,
Martyr.
GG's.
Thanks.
How are you feeling about that?
Kill me now.
Honestly, I feel pretty good except for the beginning of the run. A little rust. I did like one practice run this week, and then I had done a marathon of all my stream stuff, so this was one of the games I did, but it was just a no reset. So I had a little bit of time with it, but not a lot.
Yeah, we definitely noticed that you were doing some de-rusting, but perhaps not as much as you could have been. How do you feel that? Do you feel like that played a role in some of the mistakes you made?
Yeah, like the beginning on the bridge, in Virtuous Mission, that was definitely just rust. Like I sometimes have trouble reconfiguring the like height where you need to be to make those shots, because of like how awkward it is with the bridge angle. You know how it like dips and like you have to stop at that perfect right spot, otherwise you're like too high or too low.
Yeah, absolutely. Those shots can be pretty tricky. Even
But
if
no,
you're...
other than that, like Ocelot, the Ocelot unit was like whatever. That happens sometimes. It's a rough room. I mean, the beginning of the run is so hard. So, but yeah, no. I was kind of disappointed that the Pain second phase went so badly. I was hoping not to get a Tommy gun. Like that's usually what I'm trying to avoid in that fight, is just to not get a Tommy gun round in the second phase. But unfortunately, not the case this time. But it was still a decent fight.
That's all true, but let's not focus on the bad here. You had some phenomenal plays there. What with the end and the Fury, those were both really incredible fights. That was really good execution there.
Thank you. I mean, it's like you guys were saying. It's just you grind it so long, it just becomes like ingrained in you, and especially the end. Like, just the new end strat just is. It's so much tougher because like when I first started learning that, I was trying to get the double with the Sig Spray, but it's so inconsistent that I just go for the single now. And if I get the double, I'll try to take advantage of it. But I'm never going for the double because it's just so unreliable. And if you're going for the double and you get the single, you can't like recover from that in your setup because you lose like even a frame or two on the end. He's gonna get you.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
It's such a tight manip.
Yeah, that strat is a lot harder, so I'm super glad to see that you got it perfectly first try in a race. That's really exciting stuff. Same with the Fury. The Fury is obviously a huge gate, but that guy can just sit there and hold you hostage for minutes and minutes on end. It's happened to everyone. It happened to people in the league. I'm sorry, the tournament that we had in MGS3. So that guy takes no prisoners. Super.
I mean,
glad to see that happening.
he's aptly named.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. But no, I was really happy because when he goes right, it's tough because like getting those first 3 shots before he gets a flame off is like, I feel like it's a coin flip because sometimes he'll just go. Like he's like just determined to just shoot the second his feet touch the ground. So I was happy to get that because like if you don't get that first flame, then like he could do anything from there. He could just get up and leave. Like I've had it before where he'll like shoot that flame and then he'll just literally immediately fly away before even giving you a chance to like shoot him.
That's exactly
so.
what happened to Ed. Ed didn't shoot the Fury early. The Fury shot his flamethrower at Ed and then immediately jumped away.
Yeah, and then you're playing it casually at that point. You're just like shrug.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just jump off the ledge there and start that fight over.
I would say that's a good idea. Right at the beginning of the fight, I'd say that's a better option than fighting him casually.
It's just such a mentally draining fight when you're like constantly getting the little flames hitting you, and then you've got to like reset your position and like anything to make that fight smoother. I'm down for it. So I tend to lean towards with this game. I tend to lean towards resetting against bosses if there's even a minor error, because the scripts are so tight that. There's like a few backups, but most of the time you're faster just resetting it, starting over, than to do a backup that's probably going to be twice as slow and not as consistent anyways.
Very true. Now we see Ed going into the boss. This is an opportunity for him to at least make his time a little bit better here, because Martyr did have quite a few mistakes in the boss fight. However, if Ed gets this cleanly first try, he can definitely save some face here. Unfortunately, the race is done, but a better time is always.
Yeah, speaking of her loop and Shagoha loop were things that like started to get introduced into the community right when I got my Foxhound. So like I was like starting to pick it up once, and then I got Foxhound. And I was like, oh, I'm moving on now. So like I understand kind of how they both work, more so the boss than Shagoha loop, but if I actually just like took the time to sit down, I think I could get them both pretty quickly. It's just a matter of I don't really know them well enough to do them reliably on a race setting.
Ed did get slammed there by the boss, and she actually used a life med on him. So, thankfully he had that equipped, otherwise that would have been a continue. He is losing some time here for sure, but he is able to wrap it up cleanly. Oh, wait, no! Oh, he's on 1 HP! Oh, this is not good.
I didn't know
and
Snake.
He's dead. That sucks. Both Snake and the boss were at 1 HP. So close to having her first try.
I feel like she gets more aggressive when she's at low health.
Absolutely, she does.
Shooting, like it's so much harder to get her to rush you when she's at like quarter health.
For sure. Attempt number 2.
Yeah, I knew he was going to miss that reversal, but nice. Very
that
nice break.
That's so hard to do.
Oh no, that's gonna make him fail this parry.
Yeah,
so what he did is
100%.
he got the counter. Okay, he punched right before the boss charged him. So that means that you have no chance of successfully parrying her. However, you do still have an opportunity to counter her CQC. So he did do that. He broke away from her and was able to finish the fight just in the nick of time there. That was good. Good backup. Good save.
Once again, Marty, you're undefeated on the PlayStation 2 version of this game. Your version. What's it going to take to beat you, man?
Probably someone committing time to it, I feel like. Because it's not like I'm, like, unbeatable. It's just, I have enough knowledge of the nuances that, like, people that run off of HD won't pick up on when they're running it. So there'll be rooms that they'll just get tripped up on, and it won't really make sense. But, like, for example, in Return to Groznygrad, the box and the MK when you're like first getting into the truck. Like that room, I still don't understand how that room is supposed to work on PS2. It's just sometimes that guy sees me when I'm in the box and sometimes he doesn't. And I don't really know why, but I just go around the tank because it's like fast enough and no one else can see you. That was kind of the backup strat I adopted for that room.
Yeah, it looks pretty strong on what is considered a very difficult room on PS2. But yeah, respect, mate, because you do say yes to any race. I've not heard of anyone asking you for a race on this game. You're saying no, and you still haven't been beaten. So great exhibition once again.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I'm always down for racing. So it's so much fun, and I think that it's a great way to promote and grow the community. You know, just being able to have like cheeky fun races like this where nothing's on the line. You know, it's a little bragging rights maybe at the worst. Maybe a rivalry is formed or something. But like, you know, we're just having some fun, showing off some of the, you know, places or you know, strats that people that are familiar with the main run, you know, won't be familiar with, or you know, maybe they've seen it a couple of times but haven't really gotten an understanding of it. So I'm always down to showcase PS2. It's such a fun run, and it's really cool. It's really cool to have like multiple different variations to work off of when you're doing a run like this. Where
Every time,
you know,
every time we see this race on the channel, we learn a bit more about this game. You know, me and Major, we both mainly play the HD collection, but it is awesome to just learn more about this run, and we certainly have done that today.
All right, Martyr, congratulations on the big W. I hope you enjoyed that race. We all certainly enjoyed watching it. I love watching PS2 races, especially on this channel, because it's so underrepresented content. It's super fun to see. So thank you, Martyr. Thank you, Ed, both of you for participating. You both did a great job. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in. Don't leave us here. We do have more content just after this. We're going to be doing an I'm No Rookie. That's going to be Bratterfield learning the very easy difficulty of Metal Gear Solid 3. And I will be the coach. So I hope to see you all in a few minutes. I'm going to send you to an intermission. See you all soon.